कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधवा जयो कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जयो गिरिवरधारी जयो गिरिवरधारी जयो राधा माधवा जयो कुंज बिहारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरावनचारी जयो राधा माधवा जयो कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधवा जयो कुंज बिहारी नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय सच्चिनंदन जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे जय राधा माधव राधे जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय सुदर्शन जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय जय प्रभुपाद जय श्रील प्रभुपाद जय गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल 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 हरि बोल। हरि नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि 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 बोल। जय जय श्री राधे। भारती, आप मंगलाचरण बोलेंगे? ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य बोल के यू कैन स्टार्ट।
हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण।
Om Ajnana Timidasya. You please help me in this, the starting one.
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य
Om Ajnana Timidasya.
ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखावतांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते गिरि गोविंद स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणी। जयतां सुरतौ पुंगो मम मंत्रमते मत्सर्वस्व पदां भजो राधा वृंदारण्य कल्पतरुनाथ श्रीमद् रत्नागार सिंहासनस्थो श्रीमद् राधा श्रीला गोविंद देव पृष्ठालिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि। श्रीमान् रासरसाङ्गे वंशी वटतटस्थितः कर्षण वेणुस्वनाय गोपीर्गोपीनाथः श्रीस्तु नः। हरे कृष्णा। Yes, Bharti.
Should I start? Should I repeat Guru Mantra again or should I continue?
No need.
Okay.
हाँ, आप अपने बोलने से पहले जरूर बोलेंगे। You know, we say this so that हमारी वाणी पर कृपा हो and we are able to say what Vyasdev is saying because we are trying to repeat his words. So actually we seek blessings कि हम जो बोलें वो as per शास्त्र बोलें, हमें कृपा मिलती है। तो before saying anything you must say the Guru Pranam mantra because Guru is greater than God. Actually, Krishna may or may not be merciful, but Guru will always be. So the position of a Guru is greater than that of Krishna. As per Krishna himself, you will learn that in Bhagavad Gita. He himself declares this. Okay.
Om Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutile Srimati Vedanta Swami Iti Namani Namastute Saraswati Devi Gaurivani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Pashtaya Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. I pay my humble obeisance to my Shiksha Guru Vanita ji. If I do anything wrong, please forgive me. I'll try to explain the verses. 3.38, 3.39 and 3.40. The three verses were given to me and I was unable to do it before. So today I'll try to do it. Okay. 3.38, in this chapter, it's about the Karma Yoga. It states that the Krishna Bhagavan states ki how we should do our karma. We should, each and every living entity, we should do our karma, but we should do according to our nature, according to our whatever we are sanctioned. We should never run away from our duties. With our karma, we should do it with the right directions. So in these shloks states that only to how to take that directions and how to do our karma. And in this chapter, this one, 3.36 and 3. Before this, my shloks were given. 3.36 and 3.7 states about the rag and dvesh, about that the we living entity has that lust and wrath, which is in each and everybody, in each and every human being, we have this lust and wrath. So we should take this wrath and lust towards the right mode of goodness rather to the mode of ignorance. To make them, so in 3.38, I'll try to recite the shloka first. Dhumi navriyate vyarthi yatha darsho malina cha yatho labe navrato garbhstathati damavratam. This shloka states the 3 degrees of the covering of the living entities. It's beautifully explained with the further examples by Prabhupada and the Krishna himself explained with the examples. How Krishna explains the Arjun, like with the dust is so much engraved in each and everybody, the covering is so strong. So he explained with the examples. The first degree is explained that lust is compared with a smoke. It's like a fire, smoke in the fire. It means when the living entity exhibits his Krishna consciousness and if he makes further development in it, then the fire of spiritual life can be enlightened in the human life. And it is the beginning of that. It states that it's the beginning of the Krishna consciousness. It states that थोड़ी सी आग है, थोड़ा सा धुआं है. अगर इंसान कोई कोशिश करता है स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ की तरफ, एक ह्यूमन एंटिटी कोशिश करती है, ट्राई करती है, तो दे कैन गो टुवर्ड्स द सतोगुण. They can go towards the spiritual life. So human life can do progress in this thing. This is the dust is not so much engraved in it, but it is like the fire in the smoke. Sorry, smoke in the fire, that it can be removed if we progress in the spiritual life. And the second degree is the second degree of lust shows the dust on the mirror. It is like that the dust can be removed from the mirror with it's a cleaning process of the mind by the spiritual methods, and the best way is to by chanting. By chant we can clear this layer of the dust on the mirror, on a soul. We can clear this layer of the dust. Usko hum hata sakte hain with the process of Hari Nam Sankirtan se, chanting se, we can remove this layer. And the third degree, it's the dullest form. It's a dullest degree, and it's compared in the like it's in the womb in the embryo. It refers to the knowledge is completely covered of the and the living entity is such an helpless position. It's like a child in the womb, and it cannot even move. So in such a helpless condition, and this position is compared to trees, like then the living entity is so much in lust that he is so void of all consciousness. It means that it is such a dullest form. It's the lowest consciousness. It's unable to move. It's unable to come out from that consciousness. And the second degree is compared with the bird and beast. This means that the living entity, if it rise by the way of chanting, then it can come out from that layer of the dust. And the third is that we human being, if we progress towards the spiritual life, if we try it, then we can come out of this. We can conquer our lust and wrath in the right position, and we take it to the way of Krishna consciousness. It states that this shlok states that if we don't take it properly, every human body, we have this राग एंड द्वेष सबके अंदर होता है. अगर हम उसको सही डायरेक्शन में लेके जाएं तो हम अपने स्पिरिचुअल लेवल पे जा सकते हैं एक लेवल तक. This श्लोक states that. 3.39 is आवृतम ज्ञान मेतिन ज्ञानिन नो नित्य वैरिणा काम रूपिण कौन्तेये दूष पूरेणा नलीन च. This shlok states that the characteristics of the lust cannot be satisfied by the amount of sense enjoyment. It is like adding more fuel to the fire. In this material world, the center of enjoyment, it is never satisfied. जितना हम उसमें आग में धुआं, आग में घी डालेंगे, उतने ही आग ऊपर आएगी. तो जितना हम अपने सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन को सेटिस्फाई करने की कोशिश करते जाएंगे, वो बढ़ती जाएंगे. इंद्रियों की कभी भी तृप्ति कभी नहीं होती है. आज एक चीज है, कल दूसरी की चाह होती है, कल थर्ड डे किसी और की. द मोर वी एंजॉय, it means that the more we enjoy, the more dissatisfied, the more disillusioned we become. So इंद्रियों की तृप्ति कभी नहीं होती है. And in this material world, और इस हमारे जो स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ है, वो हमारे इस मटेरियल वर्ल्ड को उन्होंने एक नाम भी दे रखा है. उसको बोला हुआ है मैथुन्य अगारा. दिस मीन्स इट्स अ सेक्स वर्ल्ड. This means that the material life, this material world is so full, is the center of, is material world की जो center of activities है, it's concerned with all this with the sex life and all the sex things only. So उन्होंने इसको एक मैथुन्य अगारा का ही नाम दे रखा है कि वो एक बेड़ी, always shackled with this only. जो इंसान, जो मटेरियल लाइफ है, तो ह्यूमन बीइंग्स हैं, दे आर ऑलवेज शैकल्ड विद दिस मटेरियल एक्टिविटीज, ऑलवेज कंसर्न विद दिस सेंटर, विद दिस एक्टिविटीज. उन्होंने उसको प्रॉपर एक नाम ही मैथुन्य अगार का ही नाम दे दिया है. तो इट शोज दैट द लस्ट इज अ सिंबल ऑफ इग्नोरेंस, and by enjoying the sense gratification we become more and more slave of our senses. Therefore if we हमारा सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन वी कैन नेवर सेटिस्फाइड. सो जितना हम उसके अंदर घुसते जाएंगे कि हमें आज ये चाहिए वो चाहिए, हम इसको कभी भी सेटिस्फाइड नहीं कर सकते until unless we take it to the right direction, to the right consciousness. द इंद्रियों की तृप्ति, हमारे सेंसेस की तृप्ति कभी नहीं हो सकती. सो जितना हम इसमें नीचे गिरते जाएंगे, द मोर वी go morewards, downwards, the more slave we are becoming of these senses. So the last is 3.40. इंद्रियाणि मनोबुद्धिर्यस्य अधिष्ठानमुच्यते एते विहोहतेश्च ज्ञानमावृत्ते देहिनाम्. This shloka states that lust, it says that to conquer the enemy, the lust is it's mentioned here as an enemy. The most important, it's the most dangerous enemy of the human body. The human living entity is the lust. So lust is setting place of the lust is the mind, sense and intelligence. ये तीनों जगह जहां हमारा ये राग, द्वेष और लस्ट एंड राग वहां बैठता है, एक कृष्णा ने वो जगह बताई है कि आपको मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ कहाँ रहता है. आपकी माइंड में, सेंस में, इंटेलिजेंस में, सब वहां उसको कंट्रोल करो. वहां तो इट्स वेरी इजी. अगर हम इसको कंट्रोल करें तो वी कैन मूव फॉरवर्ड्स. जैसे हमारे सेंसेस हैं, आईज, नोज, माउथ, ईयर्स, 5 सेंसेस हैं, ऐसे ही हमारा माइंड, इंटेलिजेंस एंड सोल, वो सब भी मेन सोर्स है लस्ट के हमारे. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge and bewilders the entity. Therefore, if we conquer it, we should know that the mind is the main center of all the activities of the senses, and it has all the ideas for sense gratification. And mind and sense become the go down of lust. So mind is the main culprit, the main you can think, main the culprit, main thief in this कि वहीं पे हम सब कुछ कॉन्कर करते हैं. वहीं पे हम जैसे चैंटिंग करने, we sit, so ये करना है, वो करना है, we have to this thing, that all thing comes is this mind only. So it is the main culprit. It is a go down of all the lust, all the हमारी इच्छाओं की तृप्ति के सब की हमारा मेन सोर्स है माइंड, जहाँ पे हमें सारे आइडिया आते हैं. The lusty intelligence influences the soul towards the false ego, and therefore the spirit soul enjoys the material world and mistakes it to be the true happiness. And from this when we get the idea to do that, then the intelligence from the mind it goes towards the इंटेलिजेंस, और वहां से हमें आती है अपनी फॉल्स ईगो की भावना. वी गेट दैट अहम आती कि मैं सब कुछ हूँ, मैं की फीलिंग आती है कि मैं ये कर सकता हूँ. वहां हम भूल जाते हैं कि वी आर द सर्वेंट, कृष्णा इज द मेन सोल, ही इज द मेन सुप्रीम, एंड वी गेट द नो वी आर द, मेरे पास ये है, मेरे पास धन दौलत गाड़ी एंड ऑल. तो वी फॉरगेट ईच एंड एवरीथिंग एंड वी कम विद द सर्वेंट ऑफ दिस लस्ट के, और अपने उसके हम सर्वेंट उसके बन जाते हैं इंस्टेड ऑफ कृष्णा. And we move in this material world. Therefore, the spirit soul enjoys the material world and mistakes it to be a true happiness. And हम उसी circle में we continuously we are really happy, we are enjoying our life, we have a good family, good business, good profession, everything, and we move on this loophole only continuously. Therefore, we should engage. And this means clearly shows it we should engage all the senses, all the mind, soul, intelligence in only in Krishna, in only in Krishna consciousness. This false identifications of the soul explained. It is beautifully explained in Srimad Bhagavatam that if a person, if he visits to a dham and without hearing any lecture or from any senior devotee or from any prabhu, anybody from about the glories of the God, of the glories of the Krishna, and he just visits and darshan करके वापस आ जाते हैं, तो he is like an ass, and the name is given as Gokhara. He is like a typical ass. If he goes and just darshan किया वापस मत्था टेका, typical in Punjabi it's like मत्था टेका and चले. तो वो करके आते हैं. It's just then we are typically an ass if you are not listening the glories of the Krishna. So next time from this verse I got in such an, like I learned a lesson from this. Anytime I'm visiting to any dham, first I have to hear some lecture. So it's an eye opening for me too. Therefore, we should apply all our mind and senses and intelligence in Krishna consciousness only, and lust the enemy. Thus we use these three in Krishna service only. And from the three verses, like I can conclude it, we should use our human body in the service of Krishna and purify this lust in this devotional service of him only. Therefore, if we place our Krishna mind and lust, we will go to the right place and in the right direction. It is like if in the mind, the Krishna is there, then there will be nothing, no lust, no dvesh, no rag, nothing will be there, only Krishna, and how to serve him and how to please him. So it's like if we जैसे एक किसी कमरे में, if we place a light in the any room, then there is no darkness. So Krishna is there in the mind and in our soul, then there is no rag, dvesh, nothing. Only Krishna is there. So the dovetail is through अपनी हमें सारी एक्टिविटीज सब कुछ हमें अपने कृष्णा को समर्पण करना चाहिए. सारे हमें अपने कर्मों के साथ ही कृष्णा को ही ध्यान में रख के उनको सेवा अपना करना चाहिए. कर्म का कभी हमें त्याग नहीं करना चाहिए, अपितु अपने कर्तापन का त्याग करना चाहिए. अहम की वैल्यू को हमें हमेशा अपनी ईगो को त्यागना चाहिए. भगवान के चरणों में हमें अपने आप को समर्पण करना चाहिए. जैसे कि जब हम अपने खाने का किसी का भी वो लगाते हैं, भगवान को समर्पण करते हैं, तो वो प्रसाद बन जाता है. ऐसे ही हमें अपने आप को भगवान को समर्पण करना चाहिए और उनकी सेवा में रहते हुए हम कभी अटकेंगे नहीं, कभी हम भटकेंगे नहीं. अटकेंगे जरूर पर कभी भटकेंगे नहीं. So Hare Krishna. I hope I have done it. Thank you so much.
Hari. Wonderful, wonderful. तुमने अपनी भाषा में बोला. So it was a good attempt, Bharti. तुमने राग और द्वेष का बहुत बार नाम लिया. Can you tell me the meaning of rag and the meaning of dvesh?
Rag is lust only and dvesh is घृणा, हुई false ego जिसको हम anger बोलते हैं. जो हम हर एक इंसान में, हर एक लिविंग एंटिटी में होता है, क्योंकि वो हम कोई भी इसको मार नहीं सकता। ईच एंड एवरीबडी, चाहे वो छोटा हो बड़ा हो, ईच एंड एवरीबडी हैज दैट फीलिंग ऑफ, वो मैं की फीलिंग, अहम की फीलिंग है, लस्ट की, हमें ये चाहा है, वो चाहा है, वी वांट ईच एंड एवरीथिंग। सो इंस्टेड ऑफ टेकिंग टू राग एंड द्वेष, लस्ट एंड रात को एक गलत डायरेक्शन में, पाथ में ले जाने के इंस्टेड, वी शुड टेक इन द राइट डायरेक्शन। I hope I could do it.
Yes, you did. Absolutely. So, rag can be, the literal meaning of rag is attachment.
Attached, yeah.
Yes, it is a form of lust, but rag is attachment and dvesh is
Jalan, anger.
envy.
Detachment.
No. अगर डिटैचमेंट हो जाएगी तब तो हम लिबरेट हो जाएंगे. There is no detachment. Dvesh is envy. So the way to learn this is attraction, repulsion. Rag means attraction. Rag means attachment, and attachment means attraction. हमारा बहुत attachment, बहुत attraction है अपनी family के साथ, बच्चों के साथ, है ना? ये हमारे possessions हैं. So rag means attachment, and dvesh means repulsion. है ना? जो हमें पसंद नहीं है उनसे हमें repulsion है ना? We don't like those people. We don't want to share anything with them. We don't want to treat them. So it is attachment and repulsion. Rag, dvesh. Rag, dvesh. Attachment, attraction, repulsion. Both are lust. And both are snakes of lust.
But in 2.64, where we studied Rag, Dvesh, Vimuktastu, there it is mentioned Rag means attachment and Dvesh means aversion, as you are saying, it detachment, meaning it's written detachment. So
sorry?
It's written detachment, Dvesh. So basically, then फिर इसका क्या मतलब हुआ यहाँ पे?
Dvesh is written as attachment?
Yes. फिर purport में फिर translation में प्रभुपाद ने लिखा है but a person free from all attachment and aversion. 2.64.
Attachment.
Detachment लिखा है ना?
Dvesh.
Yeah.
So detachment बोला था ना मैंने, तो आपने बोला repulsion. That's what I'm asking कि फिर यहाँ पे detachment का मतलब क्या?
Person free from all attachment and aversion, and able to control his senses through regular principles. So a person free from detachment.
So basically मुझे लगता है जो आपने बताया repulsion, it means the same. The word there's just a difference.
Aversion.
हाँ, क्योंकि aversion लिखा है ना नीचे translation में, it's written aversion. So basically any kind of attachment and any so whatever you explained, it's the same here. The difference
Actually,
is of the term.
What I was trying to correct was the bhav, the feeling, that it is not that detachment. It is not opposites, attachment, detachment. ये वो वाला detachment नहीं है. That is why I use the word. Otherwise, you will get confused. Detachment, तो हम तो यही सीख रहे हैं कि detachment रखो. So how can it be detachment.
Yeah, that's what I'm
is
saying. Is what you explained, the word you use would be more appropriate to remember.
aversion.
Aversion or repulsion.
Yeah. So it is translated as detachment here by Prabhupada because in this verse, he is trying to explain it in a different way, but the meaning is the same.
हाँ, वैसे हिंदी में हम द्वेष को वही बोलते हैं, jealousy.
देखो इसमें
Like we don't like anyone, so that is dvesh.
Yeah.
So
Against.
it is aversion, and you are averse to such people.
Averse, yeah.
Averse to people that you are envious of. You don't like to be in their company. So it's repulsion, actually.
और वनीता इधर हिंदी वाली इसमें गीता में लिखा है आसक्ति तथा वैराग्य से मुक्त रहने वाले,
हाँ,
ये से मुक्त रहने
से मुक्त रहने वाला. So asakti means attachment, yeah, and vairagya is repulsion. से मुक्त. So मुक्त होना है उससे. It is not that vairagya. What I was trying to correct was, don't confuse this with vairagya, that detachment, which will give you liberation. It's not that detachment. We're talking about aversion. Yeah. So remember rag as attachment. And let's have rag only for Krishna, is what he is explaining. So thank you.
वैसे हिंदी में हम राग के लिए, एंगर के लिए भी बोलते हैं ना,
नो
राग जो होता है,
Not really.
नहीं?
No. Anger is a separate category. Of course, they are all interconnected. शुरुआत सब lust से होती है, and then the attachment, and then when lust is not satisfied, then anger. So it leads to anger, but उसका literal meaning is not that. Rag is attachment.
हमें ना हिंदी आती है अच्छे से, ना इंग्लिश आती है, कोई भाषा हमें अच्छे से नहीं आती, सब बीच में लगते रहे. It's a terrible situation.
हम लटके तो हुए हैं.
कोई बोले ना, एक लैंग्वेज नहीं बोले कि हमको कोई अच्छे से आती है.
ये
अंग्रेजों
North
ने
Indians
पूरा
की
खराब कर दिया हमारा.
problem है,
हाँ,
हम-
नॉर्थ इंडियंस की ज्यादा बुरा हाल.
बहुत बुरा हाल है.
बंगाली पूरी बंगाली बोलते हैं, गुजराती पूरी गुजराती बोलेंगे, फिर अपने मदर टंग से कभी नहीं शर्म आती उन्हें. साउथ इंडियंस पूरे साउथ इंडियंस बोलेंगे. वाई जी इज देयर, शी इज लिसनिंग.
See, I can, speak Tamil very well, but I can't read Tamil that well. So maybe, Karav.
Reading is more important.
Yeah, Tamil I can
speaking-
read Hindi better actually. Can't speak Hindi that well, but read so all khichdi only, completely.
I think नीलम वो राग जो है ना वो बंगाली में है, राग धोरे.
हाँ, राइट. तभी मैं सोच रही थी कि राग, बंगाली में राग को गुस्सा बोलते हैं.
राग धोरे.
राग क्या नो कोर्चो तुम्हें.
Yeah.
तो दैट्स वही मैं
okay.
सोच रही थी, ये मैं कहाँ फिर गलत है राग, कि राग बंगाली
You're
में
right.
बोलते हैं लोग गुस्से
You're right.
से.
It's a khichdi of all the languages.
Exactly. That is why I was wondering कि अच्छा राग में बंगाली में बोलते हैं ना, राग कोर्चो क्या नाम.
इवन मराठी में भी राग मतलब क्रोध ही है. इवन मराठी
हाँ, yes,
राग
हाँ,
मतलब
राग means हाँ, क्रोध, हाँ.
Rag means krodh in Bengali.
Yeah,
मराठी,
मराठी में भी बोलते हैं.
मराठी, हाँ.
Okay.
चलो मल्टीलिंगुअल सब एक
You know,
दूसरे से सीखते हैं.
इतनी उसमें contradiction नहीं है, because they are all one and the same thing only.
One and the same, of the same
They are
family.
leading to each other. Khichdi only. Rag, dvesh, lust, anger, everything is a khichdi, and they are joined to each other. किसी एक को भी आप जगह दे दो तो बाकी सब भी आ ही जाएंगे.
सब अपने आप
Buy
आ जाएंगे.
one, buy free. Yeah. So chapter 4. If you can मुझे screen sharing right दे दिए आपने? Okay. So I'll share my the PPT. So this is just a quick summary of chapter 1, 2, and 3. Chapter 1, we saw that they were observing the armies, both Krishna and Arjun. And Arjun gives, in the first chapter, we examined 4 of his reasons. He's so disillusioned, he doesn't want to fight. And he gives 4 reasons for not fighting, which is compassion. Due to compassion, he wants to enjoy, destruction of family, and saintliness and fear of sinful reactions. These are the 4 reasons that he gives that Krishna, I will not fight. And in chapter 2, the 5th reason comes about indecision, where he asks him that I can't make out now what to do. You tell me what to do. And he surrenders. The moment he surrenders to Krishna, their position of friendship changes to that of guru and disciple. So as long as they were friends, Krishna was talking to him in a different way. But the moment he surrenders and says, Krishna, you are now my master and I will listen to you, immediately the position, the role changes. And now Krishna starts instructing him on real knowledge. So since Arjun was horrified at the thought of killing his relatives, Krishna starts. So he starts with the most basic, level 1, kindergarten study. Because looking at Arjun's state, he could not launch into the highest philosophy, which is Bhakti Yoga. So he starts first with Sankhya philosophy. And what is Sankhya philosophy? It is technical information, dictionary information, analytical study. What is body? What is soul? Soul का size क्या होता है? Body कब तक चलती है? उसके बाद soul का क्या होता है? And then he explains to him the entire second chapter, 60, more than 60 verses, are all on the eternality of the soul. And he gives very in detail technical information of how the soul cannot be cut, cannot be burnt, cannot be drowned, nothing. Soul is eternal, imperishable. But the body is perishable and it's just a shell. This is the Sankhya philosophy, he tells him. Then, as Arjun grasps it, he moves on to the next, Karmakand. In Karmakand, what does he tell Arjun? He says that, look, you have to do your work, which is fight. Now, if Arjun dies in battle, he says, you will be promoted to the heavenly planets. If you win, you will be promoted to a king. So, in either ways, it's a win-win situation. And dishonor will overcome him if he leaves the battlefield. So, karma na karna is a sin, and you will get dishonored for that. Nobody is going to give you credit for compassion. So, karma is necessary. So, he touches upon karma kand. And then he takes him to Buddhi Yoga or Nishkam Karma Yoga. In that, he explains to him, he touches upon it, that the art of working is that you remain unattached to the results of the world and you work in the mode of selfless service with a resolute determination, but your mind should be focused on Krishna, focused on the Supreme. Here also Krishna is not alluding to himself. Abhi apne aap ko unhone introduce nahi kiya. He's telling him it should be, your mind should be focused on the Supreme while you do your work. So you fight simply because it is Krishna's desire. And what is the result of this Nishkam Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga? The biggest result is you don't get any sinful reaction, which means you will be able to come out of the cycle of birth and death, which is a very big result. So slowly he brings him from Sankhya philosophy to Karmakand to Buddhi Yoga. And then, I'll read this, symptoms of the realized soul. Symptoms of self-realized souls. he explains that they are free from the desire to enjoy the senses. They have a steady mind. They are indifferent from good and evil. Yeah, sorry. So the symptoms are that they are free. The symptoms of a self-realized soul is that they are free from the desire to enjoy the senses. Their mind is always steady and they're indifferent to good and evil. And they have a taste for devotional activities. They can control the senses by engaging them in bhakti yoga, in devotional service. Being thus situated at the time of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. All these are the symptoms of self-realized souls, these 6 symptoms. Krishna explained. One who is not connected with the Supreme or is not doing devotional activity cannot have a steady mind or peace or happiness. This was the conclusion of chapter 2. That if you're really looking to be happy, to have a steady mind, and to be peaceful, it's impossible if you do not engage your senses in devotional service. It is, or in other words, in Buddhi Yoga or Nishkam Karma Yoga. And then in chapter 3, Arjuna asks, why Lord Krishna wants him to fight. So the Lord recommends Buddhi Yoga to him and he condemns fruitive activities. Why? Fruitive activities means karma kand. So Krishna here in chapter 2 takes him through Sankhya philosophy, karma kand, and then Buddhi Yoga. But in the 3rd chapter, when Arjuna asks, what should I do? He clearly condemns karma kand or fruitive activities. Why? Because according to Arjun, the war was a fruitive activity. He was thinking that isse mujhe rajya milega. So this is a kind of a karma kand. So why should I do it? But the Lord recommends Buddhi Yoga. So Arjun confuses Buddhi Yoga as retirement from active life. So that's why he says, why should I? Buddhi Yoga means, he says, I will just leave the battlefield and I'll go and live the life of a Brahmin and I will subsist by begging. This is what he's trying. He's sharing his understanding with Krishna, which was wrong. Both of them were wrong. So Lord Krishna says that he has actually recommended one process with 2 stages, that is both karma and jnana. So Lord Krishna replies that there are 2 ways to realize yourself. Realize yourself means come out of this miserable world and the miseries of this world. Which are the 2 ways? Sankhya Yoga and Nishkam Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. So Sankhya Yoga, again, you purify your senses by philosophical process, by technical study, philosophy, understanding philosophy, hearing philosophy. That also is a purificatory process. Your mind gets purified. So the soul is active by nature and you give up work without purification of materialistic contamination. But one will be a pretender as the senses may be restrained, but the mind will dwell on sense objects. So analytical study is not very far going. It will take you only to a certain distance, not all the way. And In Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, all of them mean working in devotion. And there are two ways to understand this. The ways the learned understand it and the ways the ignorant people understand it. और दोनों के results में भी फर्क है. So a learned person will understand Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga as you have to perform work in Krishna consciousness. That is, you perform your prescribed duty, which is better than not doing any work. Whatever work has been prescribed to you by birth, do that, but do it in devotion, keeping Krishna in the center. What is the result? Work in devotion performed for satisfaction of Vishnu will clean your heart of all the materialistic propensities, and it will free you from bondage. This is a learned and intelligent way of looking at it. But if you cannot perform work in devotion with detachment, then you perform the work as prescribed in the Karma Kand section of the Vedas by performing yajna, sacrifice. That also will take you, it's a slower process and it will take you longer, but it will still give you. So it's not that it's all gloom and doom for those who just cannot take to this process. Krishna has given a way out for every level of intelligence, because not everybody in the society is of the same intelligence. So he is giving a solution to all, everyone. So one who is fully, okay. Now, learned people, when you work in devotion, you work only for Krishna. So that is without any self-motivation, following the teachings faithfully, without rag and dvesh, without envy, and free from lethargy. Very important point. That one has to give up alasya and lethargy. So automatically you will attain perfection and you will free yourself from bondage. And then he summarizes and concludes that actually the real enemy is lust. Like Bharti just now told us that the name of this world itself is Maithunagar, which means house of sex, which is the central pivot that makes us do everything that we are doing. Agar wo nahi hota Maithunagar, then none of us would have any motivation to do any work in this world. So lust is the all-devouring enemy. And he very clearly also describes the sitting place. Lust kahan baithta hai? It sits in the senses, in the mind, and the intelligence. So, सारे prominent जगह ले लेता है lust to sit. So, the soul does not get access to real knowledge as long as this lust is sitting in all these strategic places, like the senses, the mind, and the intelligence. But there is a way out. Krishna has given you the solution. That how to kill this enemy that is standing at all these strategic places? By regulating your senses, by performance of your duties with detachment, and by steadying the mind through Krishna consciousness. So in short, just by Bhakti Yoga, you can destroy or you can defeat the sitting place of the enemy in all these three places and emerge successful. So now we come to chapter 4. Chapter 4, we will do the first 3 or 4, maybe 5 verses today. It's talking about transcendental knowledge about Krishna. And then applying this knowledge. How do you really apply it practically? And 16 to 24 will talk about karma on the platform, understanding karma on the platform of Gyan. And then sacrifices. What kind of yajna? Sacrifice means yajna. What kind of yajna you need to do to reach transcendental knowledge? And then the conclusion, the summary of transcendental. Transcendental means spiritual. So, spiritual knowledge. And I'm going to come to this verse now. It's a very interesting verse. We have said this many times, and now you're actually going to hear it from Krishna, which validates this statement. So, YG, can you read verse 1, chapter 4?
Sure. Shri Bhagavanuvacha imam vivasvate yogam proktavanam aham avyayam vivasvan manave praha manur ikshvakave bravit. The personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku.
So, ये कई बार हमने किया है ना, that Bhagavad Gita came down to us in a disciplic succession. This is actually coming from Krishna himself. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. This statement is Krishna's statement, not ISKCON's statement. It's very, very mind-boggling that Krishna is saying this to Arjun. I'll show you a slide after we read these first 2-3 verses. Time nahi hai, it's almost 5, so I'll just do the first 2 or 3 verses, but you will understand how this knowledge is actually the cream of all knowledge that you can find on this planet Earth. All religions put together, all books put together. There is nothing more greater and more in detail than Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And just see how old this knowledge is. So, herein we find the history of the Bhagavad Gita traced from a remote time when it was delivered to the royal order of all planets, beginning from the sun planet. So ये royal planets में दी जाती थी. The kings of all planets are especially meant for the protection of the inhabitants. And therefore the royal order should understand the science of Bhagavad Gita in order to be able to rule the citizens and protect them from material bondage to lust. Human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge in eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the executive heads of all states and all planets are obliged to impart this lesson to the citizens by education, culture, and devotion. Raj Rishayo Viduhu. Is that the second one? Yeah, that's the second verse. So, the kings of this world, the leaders of this world are actually meant to rule the world according to Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is clearly saying that, you know, because everybody is designed to be situated in lust. Design ही ऐसा है इस world का. आप पैदा होते ही जकड़े जाओगे. Lust is going to catch you the moment the child is born. I have posted a video also to that effect. How many of you have seen that? Where the child is born in the womb. So nicely, that video has been made exactly according to the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the end of that video, I'll post it again and you see it again. The moment the head of the child comes out of the womb of the mother, Maya is waiting there and grabs the child immediately and puts it into lust. So all the leaders of the society are actually meant to rule according to Bhagavad Gita so that they start removing the lust from birth only from the people, so that in this lifetime only they can be free of anxiety. This is their job, leaders. The executive heads of all states and all planets are obliged to impart this lesson to the citizens by education, culture, and devotion. उनकी ये जिम्मेवारी है. In other words, the executive heads of all states are intended to spread the science of Krishna consciousness so that the people may take advantage of this great science and pursue a successful path, utilizing the opportunity of the human form of life. Now you and me can feel, अच्छा leaders के लिए है ना, हमें उससे क्या करना है, हम तो काम आम जनता है. Well, अपने घर में अपने बच्चों के हम leaders हैं, अपने परिवार के हम leaders हैं. So ये जिम्मेवारी हमारी भी है. We are all leaders in our own small or big minute positions. We are all in a position of influence because many people are watching us. So हम सबकी जिम्मेवारी बन जाती है. In this millennium, the sun god is known as Vivaswan, the king of the sun, which is the origin of all planets within the solar system. Now, pay attention to this. In this millennium. So this means that again, the sun god is a post. You and me can take that post. अगर आप सन देवता सूर्य भगवान बनना चाहते हैं, बन सकते हैं. There is a method, there is a set of qualifications that you need. And once you have those qualifications, you will be given the post of the sun god. So this means that there are innumerable people who have taken this post of the sun god. और हमारे current millennium में ये position, imagine, just see the depth of our scripture. They are even giving the name of the current king who is ruling the sun planet. His name is Vivaswan. इसका मतलब विवस्वान से पहले कोई और थे जो sun globe चला रहे थे, who was in charge of sunrise and sunset. Currently, it is Vivaswan, the king. And in Brahma Samhita, it is stated, "Let me worship Lord Brahma," said the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govind, who is the original person and under whose order the sun, which is the king of all planets, is assuming immense power and heat. The sun represents the eye of the Lord and traverses its orbit in obedience to his order. So, Krishna has ordered the sun planet, which is actually a representation of his eye. These are the eyes of Krishna to do his duty of orbiting the planetary system, the solar system. And he is obeying Krishna's orders and doing his duty as the sun planet. So the sun is the king of the planets. Topmost planet sun hai, because bina sun ke there is no life. And the sun god, at present, the name of Vivaswan, rules the sun planet, which is controlling all other planets. That is why it's the king, because all the other planets are under it. By supplying heat and light, he is rotating under the order of Krishna. And Lord Krishna originally made Vivaswan his first disciple to understand the science of Bhagavad Gita, because ये पूरा material world king के साथ चलता है and सभी planets का king sun planet है, तो जो sun planet करेगा वही बाकी के सारे planets भी करेंगे, जिसके under earth भी आ रहा है. Hence Bhagavad Gita was first spoken to this king, because it is the duty of the king to rule and do his duty according to the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. सबसे पहले कृष्ण ने ये विवस्वान को सुनाया भगवत गीता को, so that he could then rule as the sun planet according to the rules of scripture, according to the rules made by Krishna. The Gita is not therefore a speculative treatise for the insignificant mundane scholar, but is a standard book of knowledge coming down from time immemorial. This is a very nice statement that Gita एक डिस्कशन के लिए किताब नहीं लिखी गई है कि हम बैठ के चलो आओ हम सब बैठ के जरा गीता पे फिलोसफी पे जरा. No, it's a practical workbook. You know, you have to actually do this work. All of us, you know, it's. So, in the Mahabharata Shanti Parva, we can trace out the history of the Gita as follows. Treta Yugadau Chatato Vivaswan Manave Dadau Manushcha Loka Bhritya Artham Sutayeksh Vakave Dadau Ikshvakuna Chakathito Vyapalokan Avasthita. In the beginning of the millennium known as Treta Yuga, this science of the relationship with the Supreme was delivered by Vivaswan to Manu. Manu kaun hai? Vivaswan ke bete. So Vivaswan, Krishna ne Vivaswan ko sunaya, and he said, okay, evam parampara praptam, now transmit this knowledge. So it has to come from Guru to Shishya. And king का शिष्य कौन है? बेटा, होनहार बेटा, जिसको उन्होंने गद्दी देनी है तो उसको भी ट्रेन करना है बचपन से ही. So Vivaswan spoke the Bhagavad Gita to Manu. And Manu, being the father of mankind, actually this word man comes from Manu. All these philosophers, the Britishers, have stolen our Vedas. And they have derived all their knowledge, philosophy, information from the Vedas. Even this word man they have taken from the word Manu. So Manu being the father of mankind, matlab Manu Smriti. Manu Smriti is laws, law book for man, for human beings, was written by Manu in the light of the Bhagavad Gita. And who did Manu then give it to? His son, Maharaj Ikshvaku. So Krishna to Vivaswan, to Manu, to Ikshvaku, the king of the earth planet, and the forefather of the Raghu dynasty. Ikshvaku ke baad fir Raghu is the king, or Raghu dynasty mein Ramchandra appeared. So these are all pious kings, extremely pious kings. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita existed in human society from the time of Maharaj Ikshvaku. Can you believe how old these verses are? Until date, 700 verses have remained intact. Millions of years se ye chali aa rahi hai, wahi 700 verses, and nothing has changed. Na koi addition, na koi deletion. This is the power of something that is spiritual, transcendental, not made by man, but made by a Parushaya, superhuman person, not by human beings. At the present moment, we have just passed through 5,000 years of Kali Yuga. ये तो हम सबको पता ही है. अभी हमारे सिर्फ 5,000 साल हुए हैं, है ना? कितने बचे हैं? टोटल कितने हैं कलयुग के? 4,32,000. ये तो बड़ा छोटा सा नंबर है. अभी आप आगे आगे देखोगे, it will become mind boggling. Even the best mathematician का सर चकरा जाएगा. Before this there was Dwapar Yuga, 800,000 years. 8 लाख का द्वापर युग होता है. Okay? And before that त्रेता युग. कितना? 12 crore. 12 crore years का त्रेता युग होता है. So some 2 crore 5,000 years ago, 2 crore 5,000 years ago, Manu spoke Bhagavad Gita to his disciple and son Maharaj Ikshvaku, the king of planet Earth. Current हमारे planet Earth का king कौन है? Ikshvaku. The age of the current Manu is calculated to last some 30 crores. 30 crore years. ये तो मैं round off कर रही हूँ. Of which 12 crore have passed. Can any scientist ever discover this through their lab? अपनी lab में experiment से कभी भी वो इतना accurate number ढूंढ निकाल सकते हैं? No way. That is why it's important to read the Shastra and have faith in the Shastra. You can never find out these facts unless it is given to you by your superiors. So current जो मनु है, 30 करोड़ साल में से अभी केवल 12 करोड़ साल निकले हैं. Accepting that before the birth of Manu, the Gita was spoken by the Lord to his disciple, the sun god Vivaswan. तो और गीता तो मनु से पहले बोली गई थी. इक्ष्वाकु को, विवस्वान को बोली गई थी ना, फिर मनु तक आई है. तो मनु को अभी सिर्फ 12 करोड़ साल हुए हैं और उनको उससे पहले मिली थी उनके फादर को. So a rough estimate is that Gita was spoken at least 12 crore 4 lakh years ago. 12 crore, isn't it? 12 करोड़ 4 लाख साल पहले बोली गई थी. And in human society, it has been extant for 2 million years. से गीता है इस दुनिया में, इस planetary system में. कोई नई चीज नहीं है ये. That is the rough estimate of the history of the Gita. According to the Gita itself and according to the version of the speaker, Lord Shri Krishna. It was spoken to the sun god Vivaswan because he is also Kshatriya. and is the father of all Kshatriyas who are descendants of the sun god, or the Surya Vansh Kshatriyas. Because Bhagavad Gita is as good as the Vedas, being spoken by Krishna, this knowledge is aparushya, superhuman. Therefore, it is without faults. It is above mistakes. It is without mistakes. Since the Vedic instructions are accepted as they are without human interpretation, the Gita must therefore be accepted without mundane interpretation. इसको और इंटरप्रेट करने की जरूरत नहीं है, ये ऑलरेडी सिंपल, स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड और साफ है. The mundane wranglers may speculate on the Gita in their own ways, but that is not Bhagavad Gita as it is. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita has to be accepted as it is from the disciplic succession, and it is described herein that the Lord spoke to the sun god, the sun god spoke to his son Manu, and Manu spoke to his son Ikshvaku. Is it clear? And the next verse is also equally amazing. YG?
Yeah. Evam parampara praptam imam rajashayo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciple succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in the course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it appears to be lost.
So it's clearly stated that the Gita was specially meant for saintly kings. This word is very important here. Raj Rishayo. मतलब राजा भी थे और ऋषि भी थे. This was the standard of kings. They were Raj Rishis. कहते थे ना पहले राज ऋषि, इसका मतलब वो राजा थे लेकिन at the same time ऋषि भी थे. They were highly renounced. They were not proud kings कि ओह मुझे राजा बनने का मौका मिल गया. They were all very saintly people, but also doing the work of managing the affairs. So Viduhu, saintly kings, because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. I'll just stop.
Yeah, it's 201.
Okay, sorry. Certainly, Bhagavad Gita was never meant for the demoniac persons who would dissipate its value. Dissipate matlab reduce, change its value for no one's benefit, and would devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. As soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of the unscrupulous commentators, there rose the need to re-establish the disciplic succession. So ये कोई नई बात नहीं है कि जो demoniac असुर लोग हैं वो from time to time इसका meaning change कर देते हैं क्योंकि they don't want to be obedient to the laws of the Lord. So they try to change the message or interpret the shlokas in such a way so that it gives them permission to do, to lead a lusty life. So from time to time, Krishna has to come to re-establish the codes of religion, re-speak the Bhagavad Gita, re-establish religion. तभी तो कुरुक्षेत्र का युद्ध हुआ क्योंकि चाहे सबके सब ज्ञानी थे लेकिन they had stopped following the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita and they had become so powerful. Duryodhan and Kripacharya and all these people, they had started misusing their power. As a result, जो जनता है उनके under as leaders, they were misguiding the janta, the subjects, the citizens of the world. So Krishna had to come to reestablish, and this will happen in the material world. From time to time, the message of the Bhagavad Gita will get twisted or changed or watered down. Okay, so there arose the need to re-establish disciplic succession. So दोबारा से ये disciplic की परंपरा system को re-establish करना पड़ता है. So 5,000 years ago, it was detected by the Lord himself, and the disciplic succession was broken. So very recently, 5,000 साल पहले ही आकर वो इस chain जो टूट गई थी उसको ठीक करके गए थे कृष्णा, है ना? 5,000 साल पहले आकर he re-established the disciplic succession, and therefore he declared that the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. In the same way, at the present moment also, there are so many editions of the Gita, especially in English. 1,000 translations होंगी market में इस वक्त ज़्यादा of the Bhagavad Gita, but almost all of them are not according to authorized disciplic succession. सब ने अपनी मनगढ़ंत interpretations दी हुई हैं. There are innumerable interpretations rendered by different mundane scholars. Mundane scholars मतलब जो भक्त नहीं है, जो केवल technically इसको treat करते हैं. But almost all of them do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, although they make a good business on the words of Krishna. Have you seen? इतने सारे जो गीता सभा, गीता डिस्कशंस होती हैं, वहाँ कृष्ण की फोटो नहीं लगी होगी. खुद की फोटोएं लगाकर खुद उसके ऊपर लंबे लंबे इंटरप्रिटेशंस और हैवी बातें और फिलॉसफीज डिस्कस हो रही हैं, लेकिन कृष्ण की बात नहीं हो रही क्योंकि कृष्ण को भगवान ही नहीं मानते वो, और वो गीता के ऊपर लेक्चर देने आ जाते हैं. who don't even believe that Krishna is भगवान, जबकि यहाँ पर श्री भगवान उवाच वर्सेस में क्लियरली बोला जा रहा है. But people discuss the Bhagavad Gita और इसके श्लोक भी स्टाइलिशली कोट करते रहते हैं अपने लेक्चर्स में, अपने यूनिवर्सिटीज में, but it is just to become famous themselves. मतलब वर्ड्स कृष्णा के यूज करेंगे लेकिन कृष्ण को नहीं मानेंगे, क्रेडिट नहीं देंगे कि वो भगवान है, और उनके वर्ड्स चुरा कर अपने आप को फेम देके, and people will think, oh, he's such a intelligent man. This is what is happening. People quote Gita, पर अगर आप उनसे पूछो भगवान कौन है, निराकार है. कृष्ण तो एक हिस्टोरिकल पर्सन थे, आए थे, बड़े महान थे, मर गए, चले गए. This is their concept. They don't believe that he is God. This spirit is demoniac. ये असुर है. Because demons do not believe in God, but simply enjoy the property of the Supreme. This is worth noting down. Underline तो मैं नहीं बोलूँगी because गीता पे नहीं करना चाहिए कुछ भी. But you can make a note of this, that which spirit is demoniac? Demons don't believe in God, but they want to enjoy his property. You know, Bhagwan, I don't believe in God, but I would like to use, I mean, this world has been made by God, pata nahi Bhagwan hai ki nahi hai, but I would like to enjoy this world. Banaya hoga kisi ne, but I would like to enjoy it. So I believe in this house, but I don't believe in the owner of the house. This is sinful. It's offensive that I believe this is your house. आपका घर है, लेकिन आप कौन? ये मेरे enjoyment के लिए बना है. I want to enjoy it. That's why Mayavad philosophy is offensive. Mayavadis do not believe that God is a person. However, at the same time, they say that this world is for my enjoyment. तो जिसने इसको बनाया है वो तो निराकार है. वो तो कोई है ही नहीं. So this is offensive. This is demoniac. Therefore, there is a great need of an edition of the Gita in English as it is received by the Parampara, disciplic succession system. An attempt is made herewith to fulfill this great want. Bhagavad Gita, accepted as it is a great boon to humanity. But if it is accepted as a treatise of philosophical speculation, it's simply a waste of time. So Gita agar padhni hai, ya agar aapko, Gita is a medicine. If you want the medicine to work for you, you have to take the treatment exactly as given by the doctor, the supreme doctor. If you try to interpret it, mix and match, I'll take a little bit of this medicine and I'll mix it with somebody else's medicine, then please feel free, but your disease will not be cured. You will continue to suffer, be miserable, full of anxiety, and again, birth again, death again, birth again, death again. So there is a great need to bring the actual message of Bhagavad Gita in the society. Clear? Should we stop here? Yeah. Yeah, I think we should stop here. Any questions? So I'll just show you this बहुत अच्छा बना हुआ है PPT. Lord Krishna speaks about the history of Bhagavad Gita and disciplic succession. So Krishna is the original speaker, the proprietor, the maker of this philosophy. He speaks it 120 million years, more than 120 million years back to Vivaswan, the sun god, who is the king of all planets. And then Vivaswan speaks it to Manu, Manu speaks it to Ikshvaku, and from there it continues, the disciplic succession. And this message given to Vivaswan was meant for Raj Rishi. What is Raj Rishi? Raja plus Rishi, king and Rishi. This is how leaders should be having these qualities. They are meant to rule as Rishis. Rishis meaning they are supposed to take guidance from the scriptures and then rule, not make their own rules. So Lord Krishna has descended to re-establish the message of the Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years back. Yes. And so this is till the second verse. अब ये third verse आपको बाद में बताएंगे उसके बारे में. But till now, this is what we have done. And before this, I want to show you, yeah. This is just to give you a timeline. We start from bottom. ऊपर से समझ नहीं आएगा. ये देखिए, can you see Kalyug? Kalyug is 4,32,000 years. Then Dwapar Yuga is 8,64,000 years. Treta Yuga is 1.296 million years. Satya Yuga is 1.728 million years. और ये सब चारों युग मिलाकर एक दिव्य युग होता है, which is 4.32 million years. चार युग makes one divya yug. And then this one divya yug, four such, how many of these? Four such yugs, four such divya yugs. Matlab 4.32 million years multiplied by 4. Mind-boggling number. My God, this is like, so more than 10 million years of Divya Yug make one Manvantar. and 71 such manvantars make one kalpa, and 14 such kalpas makes the one day of Brahma. मतलब ब्रह्मा की जो लाइफ है that is 311 trillion years, जिसमें से 36,000 kalpas are just his one day, and then again another 36,000 kalpas is his one night. मतलब इमेजिन 36,000 कल्पास का एक दिन होता है ब्रह्मा का, और एक कल्प कितना है? 4.32 बिलियन years. So you can imagine 36,000 such billion years सिर्फ उसका एक दिन ब्रह्मा का, और उतनी ही लंबी उनकी एक रात. And this is how old the Bhagavad Gita is. And it is spoken again and again in these manvantars. And this is just to give you an idea of how systematically time has been divided by Krishna. Matlab, the way this world is working is in such precision, such clarity, which you will not find anywhere but the Vedas. Okay? Just to give you a glimpse of the timeline. It's mind-boggling. You don't need to understand it. Just to give you an idea of how old the Bhagavad Gita is coming down. And one more point. The best knowledge is descending knowledge. जो ऋषियों से नीचे आ रही है. Tried and tested है, full proof है, genuine है. लेकिन हमारे आजकल लोग क्या believe करते हैं? Ascending knowledge. एक्सपेरिमेंट करेंगे, पूछ पाछ के प्रूव करके बताओ, we will mix and match, we will make mistakes, and then we will try to figure out कि भगवान है या नहीं है, हमें क्या करना है. So that kind of knowledge is not going to give you results. It's going to waste your precious time. The real knowledge is evam parampara praptam, descending, ऊपर से नीचे, not नीचे से ऊपर. So no ascending knowledge, only descending knowledge is the real knowledge. Okay. So with that we close. Let's say the closing prayers. आप बोलोगे नेहा? नेहा, are you
Just
in
one thing
Ajmer?
I want to share.
तुम अजमेर में हो? नहीं. घर पे हो? अच्छा. Okay, you're back. Yes, Neelam.
Just I want to share one thing. The chart which you were sharing.
Yes.
उसमें वो जो हम descending में जा रहे थे.
हाँ.
From Kalyug to those figures. If you see, there's 1728 something miles years.
Yes.
So in one of the lectures, Amrendra Prabhu had shared the significance of 16 rounds. Why Prabhupada had revealed the 16 rounds. Because I was looking for that lecture, but I didn't remember किसमें है. उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से explain किया था कि exactly 16 rounds ही क्यों प्रभुपाद ने किया. Which is equivalent to 16 into 108 is 1728. So which will take us to Satyug. तो जब हम 16 rounds chant करते हैं, it is equivalent कि हम Satyug में हैं.
Yeah, there are so many
versions.
Yeah. The bottom line is our acharyas are extremely intelligent, very advanced,
very scientific,
and insignificant fools like us should simply just follow. They have already done the understanding, the research, the study, and they are sharing it with us. Just follow it. Don't waste your time. Life is very short, and this life is full of difficulties. Padam padam vipadam. You don't know what's going to happen the next day, the next moment. So don't waste time. Each day is a gift. Whatever knowledge you are getting, just do it. Okay, repeat after me. Anjali?
Yes.
Ekam Shastram.
Ekam Shastram.
Devaki Putra Geetam.
Devaki Putra Geetam.
Eko Devo.
Eko Devo.
Devaki Putra Eva.
Devaki Putra Eva.
Eko Mantras.
Eko Mantras.
Tasya Namani Yani.
Tasya Namani Yani.
कर्मापि एकम
कर्मापि एकं
तस्य देवस्य सेवा
तस्य देवस्य सेवा
त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव
त्वमेव माता च पिता
त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा
त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा
त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं
त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं
त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव
त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव
कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय
कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय
हरये परमात्मने
हरये परमात्मने
प्रणतकलेशनाशाय
प्रणतकलेशनाशाय
गोविन्दाय नमो नमः
गोविन्दाय नमो नमः
कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय
कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय
देवकी नन्दनाय च
देवकी नन्दनाय च
नन्दगोपकुमाराय
नन्दगोपकुमाराय
गोविन्दाय नमो नमः
गोविन्दाय नमो नमः
वसुदेवं सुतं देवं
वसुदेवं सुतं देवं
कंसचाणूरमर्दनं
तं सचाणूरमर्दनं
देवकी परमानन्दं
देवकी परमानन्दं
कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं
कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं
कात्यायनी महामाये
कात्यायनी महामाये
महायोगिनी अधीश्वरी
महायोगिनी अधीश्वरी
नन्दगोपसुतं देवी
नन्दगोपं सुतं देवी
पतिं मे कुरुते नमः
पतिं ते कुरुवे नमः
श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम
श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम
दासोऽहं कृष्ण तवास्मि
दासोऽहं कृष्ण तवास्मि
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम
राम हरे
राम
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 हरे
राम
हरे
हरे हरे
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय जगत गुरु
जय
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय
जय
गुरु महाराज की जय
जय
निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल
हरि बोल।
जय जय श्री राधे श्याम Thank you all for your time. Those who are late can leave. Anybody has any questions they can ask before we close. There's been a storm.
Yeah,
Yes, Neha?
I wanted to ask you something. So I met a Panditji off lately and I was talking to him.
Yeah.
So I met a Panditji off lately and I was telling him that I'm studying Gita. So, you know, the first question which he asked me was, आपने तो पढ़ा होगा ना कि कितने उसमें रिचुअल्स हैं और कितना कितना दान करने पड़ते हैं, लेकिन मैंने तो किसी अपने गीता में पढ़ा ही नहीं। हम पूरी पढ़ ली लेकिन हमने तो उसमें दान पढ़े नहीं। तो जो जो गीता प्रेस की गीता है उसमें सारे दान लिखे हुए होते हैं।
You should ask him, has he read the Gita?
मैंने उनसे पूछा नहीं क्योंकि
I doubt very much whether he has read the Gita.
गीता प्रेस में भी नहीं लिखे।
Gita is the same. I mean, what do you mean by Gita press? That Gita is not different. यही 700 श्लोक उनके भी हैं. But the same Gita from millions of years, 700 verses, 18 chapters. That's it. There is no other Gita. उसकी interpretation अलग हो सकती है.
No, but in
हाँ, तो वो इंटरप्रिटेशन की बात कर रहे हैं वो, उनका जो इंटरप्रिटेशन है वही है।
दान in the 18th chapter, later chapters, there दान की बात आएगी जो हमने की है भक्ति वृक्षा में. Remember, ladies, we did charity in the modes of goodness. Charity के ऊपर बोला है गीता में कि चैरिटी सत्वगुण की होती है, रजोगुण की होती है, तमोगुण की होती है. तो रजो और तमो में चैरिटी नहीं करनी चाहिए, सत्वगुण में ही करनी चाहिए.
बट वो भी इतना इलैबोरेट नहीं है ना.
नहीं है. No. So this, I mean, what kind of a pandit is that?
Yeah, I know.
So this also is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam that these are Brahma Bandhus. They are not Brahmins. They are born in Brahminical families and their father was a Brahmin. Hence, they have just inherited the family surname. ये ब्राह्मण नहीं कहलाते, ये ब्रह्म बंधु कहलाते। सी कलयुग में क्वालिफाइड ब्राह्मण्स की कमी है, अब ब्राह्मण्स नहीं रह गए। इसीलिए चैतन्य महाप्रभु केम ओनली 500 years back कि हरिनाम संकीर्तन इज ओनली योर यज्ञ, जप, तप एंड एवरीथिंग, बिकॉज यू डोंट नीड क्वालिफाइड ब्राह्मण्स फॉर हरिनाम संकीर्तन. Anybody can get together and do a Harinam Sankirtan, and uska result will be equal to what a qualified Brahmin would have done. So he made it simple. ना चीजों की प्योरिटी रहेगी, हवन में डालने के लिए ना आपके पास शुद्ध घी सामग्री होगी. So now yagya and havan is not recommended for Kali. That's fine. It's not their fault. It's completely degraded. They're not studying Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you.
Abhi, I was just reading Shri Ishopanishad in the afternoon just before the class, and just I read this Dvija Bandhu. Those people are called Dvija Bandhu, जो Brahmin family के, but they are not qualified as Brahmin.
Yeah. जैसे गृहस्थ and गृहमेधी.
हाँ.
Grihastha means keep Krishna in the center of your life and raise your family. वो तो कहीं बचे नहीं, हम सब गृहमेधी हैं. We keep ourselves in the center of our life and live our lives. So शास्त्र में ये सारी चीजें दी हुई हैं ऑलरेडी. कलयुग के सिम्टम्स दिए हुए हैं. ब्राह्मण्स ऐसे होंगे, गृहस्थास ऐसे होंगे, टीचर्स ऐसे होंगे. ऑलरेडी ऑल भविष्यवाणी हो चुकी है. बालों का श्रृंगार होगा, नाखूनों का श्रृंगार होगा. इट्स ऑल रिटन इन कलयुग. And ये निषेध माने जाते हैं. You know, hair and nails. Hair is always meant to be tight, not open. Like mine. Shalinta was center parting. Tie your hair neatly, cover it. Nails always clipped. तो nail parlors हैं. The longer your nails, the better. You know, सब शूर्पणखा बन के घूमते हैं. लंबे नाखून, लाल, पीले, नीले, हरे. But these are the symptoms of Kali. People will delight in these. My point is, look at our Shastra. They have already predicted. किसी शास्त्र में नहीं है. भविष्य पुराण में सब कुछ दिया हुआ. What will happen? कलयुग की duration दी हुई है. Imagine. Which scripture gives you that? So have faith in your scripture. Follow your scripture. It's made very simple now. Thanks to Srila Prabhupada. It's not rocket science. They're not even telling you to do some Shirshasana and some, you know, tough yogic posture. Just chant Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Be in the association of devotees, serve devotees. And your life will be successful.
Prabhupada has rather he has
All glories to
simplified the path.
All
Simplified us in the most, you know, simple way he can. For the information, the जो गीता प्रेस के लिए नेहा you were saying, तो मैंने एक सुना था लेक्चर में. रूपा प्रभु जी का उन्होंने बताया था. जो गीता प्रेस की जो बुक्स लिखी थी जिन्होंने, उनका नाम वो है ना, बहुत फेमस है वो, हनुमान प्रसाद जी पोद्दार. हनुमान प्रसाद जी पोद्दार. So he himself used to adore Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, when he had no money to get the publishing money for publishing his Bhagavad Gita copy, तो उन्होंने जो गीता प्रेस के ओनर है गोविंदास बॉम्बे में, उनको रिक्वेस्ट किया कि हमारी कॉपी करवाने के लिए, कि मेरी कॉपी इनकी करवाओ. वो बोले हम तो सिर्फ हनुमान प्रसाद जी पोद्दार की कराते हैं, तो हम कैसे करा सकते हैं, उनका परमिशन चाहिए. Then he went to Bhagalpur to meet Hanuman Prasad ji Poddar, and then he warmly welcomed Prabhupada and उनसे मतलब हाथ जोड़ के कि आप मुझसे रिक्वेस्ट मत करो प्लीज. एंड immediately he called up Goenkas कि इनकी जो भी बुक्स हैं, जो भी, मुझे कुछ पूछने की भी जरूरत नहीं है, एंड प्लीज उनकी प्रिंटिंग होनी चाहिए. So he is of that stature, Prabhupada. एंड तब उनकी भगवत गीता प्रिंट हुई थी. सो प्रभुपाद को सारे बहुत अडोर करते हैं. तो गीता प्रेस में भी जो उनकी गीता है उसमें ऐसा कुछ भी मेंशन नहीं कि लोगों को, एक्चुअली ब्राह्मण्स ही सारे सब डिग्रेडेड हैं. अपने घर में जो अभी आई कैन रिलेट.
नेहा, you should ask him. हाँ, मुझे पता नहीं है, मुझे चैप्टर बताएंगे कौन सा चैप्टर मैं पढ़ के जरा मैं भी जानूं. Let's see whether he knows which chapter, which verse. I'm sure he knows nothing.
I'll call him up.
Okay, Hari Bol everyone.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.